clearly like the person brushed past me, and I was like, oh okay, sorry. I was even saying like, sorry, excuse me, like I thought maybe I bumped into him or something. It was like I was back in Lagos. Amazing people, welcome back to my channel. My name is Tommy, and on this channel I share everything about my lifestyle, many things in between. So guys, today is a story time, and I thought that I should share with my family as well, because this reminds me of something that happened to me many years ago. Okay, so like on the media in the past few days, I've been seeing quite a number of like people, Nigerian celebrities, saying that they were robbed like when they traveled out of the country, in London, in other parts of the country. I think someone said she was robbed in Paris. Like 2 or 3 people said they were robbed in London, and it happened like simultaneously, like almost at the same time. One thing I am not sure of, or one thing many of us don't know, is we don't know the details of how they were robbed. Were they robbed at gunpoint? Were they robbed in their their hotel rooms? Was the money in the safe? We don't know the details. We don't know whether they were walking on the street and they were robbed. We don't really know the details. They didn't give as much details, but they said they were robbed. And some people were like, oh, surprised, like, oh, how were you robbed, blah blah blah. There are different like stories around it. Some people are like, were they really robbed and all that. I'm not going to delve into that right now, but the major thing is that yes, this happens. So for people that live in the UK, people that live outside, basically I'm talking about people that stay outside Nigeria. I currently live in Lagos, Nigeria, but I have like many of my family, like my family, close family, like my parents, live in UK at the moment. So most people ask me like, how come you're staying in Nigeria, or how come you don't stay with your parents? Long story cut short, I am married and I stay in Lagos, Nigeria with my family, but UK happens to be like an extended part of me. It's like home for me. So I happen to talk about UK generally from the experience I have with my family staying there. And so this story of the celebrities sharing their stories reminds me of how myself, or my mom and myself, were also robbed. And guys, yes, it is true. My mom will always say that when people travel out, don't think you are going to heaven. Traveling abroad is not heaven. Like, crime happens everywhere. It might just like be more in some other parts or lesser in some other parts, but crime happens everywhere. So, and UK is not excluded. There are many people that's like on the streets. It's basically, if you're not careful, this will happen to you as well. And let me just share my story, because when we were talking about, oh, how sure were you that you were robbed and all that blah blah blah, and I was like, guys, you can actually be robbed. And this was the same misgiving that we knew, or we had, like, I think it happened in 2014 or even earlier than that. I can't remember the year in particular, but it was many years ago, over 10 years ago. Yes, over 10 years ago. It's been a long time. And it happened like in a notorious place in England, London. It's actually a district in southeast London, Peckham. And anybody that knows the name Peckham knows that it's like a very notorious place. A lot of blacks stay there in Peckham. Peckham is a beautiful place. I've been to Peckham recently. In fact, one of my like sisters stays in Peckham. She has this lovely flat in Peckham where it's very close to, the proximity to our office is very good, and this very lovely like block of flats that she stays in. And Peckham has not been what it used to be. I was there like 2 years ago, and it's like a complete departure. But anyway, 14 years ago that we were there, we were robbed, and it was a lot of money to us then. A lot of money. Like, mom and myself, I was little then. I was not as old as I was now, and it was my mom's money. I was one carrying a bag, and that kind of like, mommy, let me carry your bag, this kind of like African setting. Like, I don't want my mom to be carrying her bags. I don't want her to, like, of course you offer to carry the bags for your elderly ones and all that. So I carried her bag, and I remember that We just came down from the train station, we crossed over to the other side to take a bus to where we were going to, and by the bus stop somebody brushed by my side. You know that kind of thing. I'm in London, nobody can steal my money. In my mind, like, if you even put your laptop on the road, you come back to meet it. It happens, to be honest, it does, but it just depends on where you are and all that. So back to my story. Somebody brushed, I remember clearly that the person brushed past me, and I was like, oh, okay, sorry. I was even saying like, sorry, excuse me, like I thought maybe I bumped into him or something. It was like I was back in Lagos. We didn't know, and the bag was with me. I think I just carried it like that, kind of like, you know, there's some places you go to in Lagos, they'll be like, close your bag well, close your bag well. In fact, when I'm in the market in Lagos, I will hold my bag like this. I will hold it like, because you are aware that they can steal your stuff. But overseas or abroad or something, you just feel like everybody is okay, everybody is going up and down, that kind of thing. Nobody is going to steal my stuff. Please don't be mistaken, you have to be very careful as well. And I will say this with a clause, it depends on the location. That's why you need to know about where you're staying. There are some places that the crime rates are higher. If you happen to pass through, if you happen to stay there, you have to be very, very careful. Some other places do not have all those like notorious stories around them, so you can as well like just be okay, do whatever you want to do. But if you're going to some particular places, you have to be careful. It's just like saying you're going to shop at, or you're going shopping at Oxford Street. Oxford Street is one of the busiest places to shop in London. I can't even shop in Oxford. It's like, it's always very busy. A lot of tourists are always there, people always go there, so you have to be very careful. So the same thing happened to us in Peckham, and that's the last thing I remember, that someone just like brushed past me, just like brushed past my shoulder or something like that. We didn't notice anything until when we got to our destination. Even at our destination, we didn't notice anything because we didn't have to like bring out the money. I think my mom wanted, she withdrew the money. And another thing is that when you are in like England, most people don't even carry bulk money around. Most times you transfer, like nobody's carrying. If you even start carrying 50 pounds, they'll start looking at you like, what are you using this very high amount of money for? So I can't remember what it was for, but I knew my mom had to withdraw that money for something. And it was like when we got back, or when we go to our destination, she was like, wait, okay, hand me my purse. I handed her the purse. We checked. It was devastating, to be very honest. Like, we went back, we retraced 300 pounds then was like saying 3,000 pounds now. And you can imagine, this was the time that she was still trying to settle down into the country, and like everybody, we needed the money. It was for something very important, and it was like, oh my goodness, I have been robbed. We got back home, we told my aunt, and my aunt was like, nah, yeah, that kind of like, this is England, you have to like also shine your eyes. Don't just behave like everybody's an angel on the streets. You have to be very careful. So I just did this video for those that think probably by the time you travel out, by the time you step your foot out of the shores of the country, yeah, okay, angels exist only in heaven, okay? You don't know the mind of the person next to you, to be very honest. You don't even know. Some people are very, the way some people have crime entrenched in their hearts, like some people are wicked. So you only know yourself, you don't know the other person. Though, like I always say, some societies try to manage it. Everywhere is not the same. Some places it's on the rise, on the high, some other places it's low, that kind of thing. There are different indexes for different countries, different communities. Even in the same London, that some people say, oh, crime is high here, there are some places that they hardly experience things like that. So you have to do your research, find out where you're staying, where you're passing through, how busy is this street, how is the crowd here, what happens here, what is the crime rate, that kind of thing. You need to find out, you need to do your research. So okay, you have to be very careful. It's only in heaven that angels exist. They come down here as well, but you still need to be very careful. So I just thought to share my own experience about how I was robbed. Yeah, you can be robbed. You have to be very careful. You can be robbed almost anywhere. Yes, so you just have to be very careful. It's not a cliche when people say they've been robbed. I don't think they're lying. I don't think they're trying to make it up. I don't know the details, but this was my own little detail, and this was the first and the last time anybody I know, or my mom or myself, has ever been robbed in England. Probably if you misplace stuff. To be very honest, there are times I misplace stuff, I would just go check it back. I left my phone on the counter, like all these like neighborhood stores that they sell groceries and all that. I left my phone there and I went because I was with my kids. I was busy with so many things. I left my phone. I went back after like so many hours and I still found it. They kept my phone for me. So it's not to say that there's crime everywhere. You just need to know where you are and act right. Don't forget yourself, and hopefully if this happens to you, you'll be able to recover whatever you lost. But be cautious. If you're relocating, if you're visiting, be cautious. Crime still happens, okay? So guys, if you enjoyed my video, please give this video a thumbs up. Let me know what you think. Has this ever happened to you? What is your experience? What has been your experience so far? For those of you that live in the UK, let me know what you think. So guys, I'll see you in my other videos. Stay beautiful as always. Bye.